Hey you, yes you, the person who literally clicked on this video, I'm talking to you. Have you been struggling with fat loss and weight loss and you feel like you've literally done everything? Well, guess what? I made this video to help you and show you that it's still possible. So let's get right into Mr. Optimal's fat loss lesson. And here's my physique in case you guys are curious. Let's get this show on the road. Let's rock and roll. Alright, so chapter 1, I want to explain some physics, more specifically thermodynamics. So let's talk about here on the left side, the first law of thermodynamics. The first law is that energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. Energy can only change forms. This means that energy is not going to poof magically appear or poof magically disappear. It's just changing from one form to another, right? And then on the right side here is a caloric deficit. So a caloric deficit is where you consume fewer calories than the amount of required energy your body burns. Now, just keep this in mind. I'll explain a little more in depth. Let's move on. All right, so now we want to talk about a little more thermodynamic stuff. So in thermodynamics, if you have a system or something that has less energy than what is required, that missing energy or the energy that it needs will be taken from somewhere else. Again, it's not going to just magically poof appear. Now, relating that to a deficit, if you're consuming fewer calories than what is required for your body, then guess what? That energy needs to be taken from somewhere. It's not going to magically appear, right? So guess what? It gets taken from your fat stores. So let me give a little example here. So let's say your body requires 2,000 calories of energy to function, just to literally survive and move around day to day. But you're like, you know what? I don't want to help my body out. I want to just eat 1,500 calories a day. So what you're doing now is you're eating less than your required energy per day, right? So your body's like, hold up, bro. We still need 500 calories, dude. We need to get to that 2,000 calorie limit or, requirement. So guess what? Your body's like, okay, we need energy to hit that 2,000 calories. So it will take energy from your fat stores, guys. If you're missing, the 500 calories, your body needs that energy. Like literally, it needs it to survive. So if you're not providing it directly with food, your body is going to take your fat, break it down, and turn it into energy, guys. So this is pretty much the key principle of, losing that body fat. So let's move on. Okay, I want to talk about some misconceptions, right? And I'll explain all these right now. So working out. People think that if you work out, you'll just magically lose weight. Working out helps, but the thing is, exercise can be easily out-eaten. What does this mean? I'll explain all of this at the end. Eating healthy. People think, again, eating healthy will just magically make you lose weight. It can help, but healthy foods have calories. Eating certain foods or diets. There's no food or special diet or anything out there that will magically make that body fat poof disappear. Fasting. A lot of people think that, if you're fasting, that can kind of just, I guess, shred your fat off, but that doesn't really matter if you're still eating too many calories. And finally, age. As age increases, your metabolism might start to, be wonky, might not be as good as it used to be, but that doesn't really matter if you're still eating too many calories. So the whole principle of this entire slide here is the only way to actually lose that body fat is through your caloric consumption, guys. It doesn't matter if you're running 1,000 miles every day. I don't care if you're eating the healthiest diet known to man. If you're still eating too many calories, you will not lose the body fat. That's the core principle of this. That's the core principle of these thermodynamic stuff, right? So, again, a quick recap. If you're eating fewer calories than your body requires, your body will get that energy from your fat, right? And again, the only thing you need to do to lose that body fat is a caloric deficit, which is eating fewer calories than your requirement, right? These help, but they won't be magical. So now I want to talk about caloric maintenance. I kind of brought this up already, but a caloric maintenance is a number of calories your body needs to consume each day to maintain your current weight. So going back, that is pretty much this first bullet point here. Your body requires 2,000 calories of energy to function. It's the same principle here, right? Your caloric maintenance is how many calories you need to eat per day to stay exactly where you are. Hence the name maintain maintenance, right? So why is that important? Well, when you have your maintenance, that tells you, okay, that's how many calories I need to eat to maintain where I'm at. So if you want to lose the body fat, you need to eat fewer than that number. So how do we actually know what our maintenance is. How do we know what to do? Well, this is going to help you. So let's go over these 5 steps and I'll show you in detail how to do each. So first, you want to find an online TDEE calculator. That's pretty much TDEE just means maintenance, by the way. Then in that calculator, you want to include your height, weight, age, sex, or activity level, or I guess, whatever it asks you, of course. Number 3, after the calculation, that will be your maintenance calories, or your TDEE, whatever you want to call it. Then once you have that number, you want to subtract anywhere between 300 to 500 calories to put you in that deficit, right? To put you under maintenance. And then here's the most important part, step number 5. Really pay attention to this one. When you are eating in a deficit, you want to track that, you eating in that deficit for 2 to 3 weeks. Why is that important? To make sure you're actually in a deficit. Let me give an example. Okay, so let's say you are in a deficit, and after 3 weeks, you find that you're losing weight at a comfortable range. That tells you, okay, let me stick to what I'm doing. If you're in a deficit, and after 3 weeks, you find that you've actually gained weight or your weight has stayed the exact same, that tells you, okay, maybe I need to decrease the calories even more than this. And then, again, if you do that deficit and after 3 weeks, you find, okay, I find that I'm losing weight at a really fast rate and I feel totally unhealthy, that tells you, okay, maybe the deficit's a bit too extreme, right? Anyway, now that that's all out of, the picture, now that we've gone over this, let's actually do this. So here's what we're going to do. Let me get out of this. So make a new tab, literally just go TDEE calculator, boom, just like that. Now you have, different options. I'm just going to do this one, calculator.net. You pick whatever you want, doesn't matter, boom. Okay, so now you're going to be brought to this page and you're going to see this calculator. So now you want to put in your info. So me, I'll just do myself. I'm 19, I'm a male, I'm 5'10", I weigh 185. Oops, not 1,845. I weigh 185. Now, this is activity level. This is saying, how active are you on a day-to-day basis? For this part, you want to be as specific as possible. You don't want to overestimate or underestimate. So for me, I would say I'm probably very active. I work out at the gym every single day. I walk a lot, so I would say I'm probably very active. So now that you have all this put into play, you press calculate. Boom. So now in this top sentence here, you'll see that your maintenance is roughly whatever this number is. For me, it's 3,200 calories. So meaning, if I'm eating 3,200 calories a day, I'll maintain roughly where I'm at. Now here it's going to give you, some recommended, deficits. You don't have to do these. You can look at these and use these if you'd like. But again, going back to this, you want to do anywhere between 300 to 500 calories. So for me, let's go right down the middle and do 400 calories. So rather than eating 3,200 calories, I want to start to eat, 2,800 calories, right? And then I would stick with that, right, for the 2 to 3 weeks here, and adjust if necessary, right? So that's how you calculate your maintenance and the amount you need to do for a deficit, right? So now let's go back into this and let's move on. All right, now we need to talk about macros. So even though calories are the most important thing for the weight loss, we still want to have these macros just for overall health and functionality, right? So protein, this is obvious. Protein helps build muscle, and it's the most satiating macronutrient. Fats, these are good for hormone health and vitamin assumption. Sorry, I can't speak today for some reason. And finally, carbs. Carbs are important. I know a lot of people say don't eat your carbs. I highly disagree because carbohydrates are your body's source of energy. They are needed for you to actually function and literally just move. So please eat your carbs. Don't do zero carb diets. Anyway, how much of each should you be having? So for protein, I like to do anywhere between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. I'll show how to calculate all this in a sec. But now let me just quickly say, keep this in mind. Protein is 4 calories per gram. Keep this all in mind. Next, for fats, I like to do around 20 to 30% of the total calories you're eating, right? And for fats, it's 9 calories per gram. And for carbs, after you calculate these two, just whatever's left over, put that into carbs. So now let's kind of do some math. I hope you are good at math because it's going to get a little tricky here. All right, so here is an example. Let's say we have Jimmy here. And Jimmy weighs 180 pounds, and he wants to eat at 2,000 calories for his deficit. I don't know, let's just say. So first things first, as always, you always want to calculate protein first. So in this case, I'm doing his body weight times, this range here, the 0.8 to 1.2. In this example, I just did 0.8. I like to do 0.8. You can do whatever you want. So you take his body weight times that number, and then you get this amount, 144 grams of protein. So that's how much protein he should be eating per day. And then, once you have the grams of protein, take those grams times 4 calories. As we said, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, right? So all those grams times 4 equals 576 calories. Boom. Now, let's do fats. So for fats, again, you want to do the 20 to 30% of the total calories. So in this case, I'm doing 30%. So you want to do 30% times the total calories here, 2,000, which will equal 600 calories, right? Now, from here, we know that a gram of fat is 9 calories. So we want to do 600 divided by 9, which will equal 67 grams of fat, right? So that's how we get the grams of fat. And then finally, the carbohydrates. So for carbs, we said whatever calories we have remaining, just do that for carbs. So in this case, we take the total calories minus the calories of the protein plus the calories of the fats, which are right here, which will equal 824. Then from there, we already said how carbs have 4 calories per gram. So you do 824 divided by 4, which equals 206 grams of carbs. So with that being said, for this guy, Jimmy, he wants to eat 2,000 calories, 144 grams of protein, 67 grams of fat, and 206 grams of carbs. And of course, that's just a rough estimate. It's not always going to be perfect, but that's just a general rule of thumb. So, definitely take some time to go over this slide if it's a little confusing. And now, let's finish off with a banger here. Let's finish with the finale. So, as we stated before, calories and a caloric deficit are the most important thing for fat loss. It is literally the only way for you to lose that weight, right? That's what you need to do if you want to actually burn off that body fat. Be in a deficit. Consume fewer calories than your body requires, right? Next, this is a cool part. The food you eat does not matter as long as you're in a deficit. What does this mean? Well, if you are in a deficit, if you're eating under maintenance, you can technically eat pizza every single day. As long as you're still in the deficit, you will lose the body fat, right? Because again, it's thermodynamics. It doesn't matter what energy you're consuming as long as it's less energy than what's required. Now, of course, I still recommend, you eat healthy food so, you're not destroying your insides with unhealthy foods. And then next, this is really, really important. Try your absolute best to be as consistent and accurate with tracking. I didn't really go much into tracking, but pretty much what you want to do with tracking is you want to actually make sure you're eating the correct amount of calories. How do you do that? Well, there are 3 main ways: food tracking apps, a food scale, and a nutrition label. So you have food tracking apps that can kind of, scan barcodes, that you can type in the nutrition labels. Let me show you what I like to use. Let me find it. It's this one called Macros First. I don't know if you can see that, but it's called Macros First. It's a pretty good app. It has like a barcode scanner, which, makes it a lot easier. Next is a food scale, right? Taking foods and weighing it out to make sure you're eating the right amount of calories. Again, help a lot. Finally, nutrition label. Looking at the back of the box and saying, okay, how much is in each serving, right? Those all help. And of course, if you have any questions on all that, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to, help you out and even make a second video if I have to. So I hope all this helps. I hope, you all do well on your fat loss journeys. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you're interested in any one-on-one coaching, check the description of the channel. We have a link there to help you out with all this. So, deuces, guys.